€7 billion or even 8 billion. A lot of money, isn't it? Hello and welcome to EuroparlTV's Google Hangout. Wondering what that money is for? Well, if you're a small or medium-sized enterprise, it's good news. It's all yours under the €70 billion Horizons 2020 package, the EU's new research and development programme. Or is it? How easy will it be for SMEs to get their hands on funding? And as the EU splashes the cash to kickstart the economy, will it really propel us back into being leaders in innovation, make us competitive and drive up growth and jobs? Or could the EU's €959 billion budget for the next 7 years be better spent elsewhere? Joining me in the studio is Belgian MEP from the Green Party and Vice President of the Parliament, Isabelle Durant. And a big welcome to all of our participants. And for all of you watching, of course, you can join in the debate via the hashtag EP Hangout on the Parliament's Google Plus page or on Facebook and Twitter. Mr. Durant, welcome to our Hangout.
Thank you.
Now, I mentioned that figure, 7 to 8 billion. The EU spends a lot of money, and obviously got lots of initiatives right now to try and kickstart the economy to get growth in jobs up. How much money do we need to spend to the EU?
I'm totally sure that on European level we will develop growth and employment with the help of SMEs, and not only with the big industry or the big companies. And in this regard, I am a little bit afraid that only 10% of this budget is normally affected to the SMEs. But it's not a binding target.
It means
10% of the 7,000 million have to be used for the SMEs. But it's not a binding target. It's the member states will decide. And of course, it's not a good idea. I think that we have to be more with binding target for the SMEs, because the SMEs are the best tool to create jobs and to organize a real recovery plan, not only with big industry but with SMEs. That's all added value on European level.
Now, you say that SME is the biggest tool to get jobs and growth up, but we had a question from Junior. Junior, would you like to ask the MEP your question?
Yeah, sure. My question is, because the Horizon 2020 program include funding for research, development, innovation, and support to small and medium-sized enterprise. So my question is, are there any particular focus on young entrepreneurship as a way to fight youth unemployment?
Not especially young entrepreneurship, but I agree with him. I think that it's important that the young entrepreneurship, and especially the new SMEs with young people, could be more supported, because they have the possibility to develop a real research, real innovation. It's easier with young people with ideas, with innovation views, and I think that it's not mandatory in this program, but it's possible, of course.
And Junior, I don't suppose you would have an idea to set up your own company?
But I mean, yeah, of course. As today, it's very difficult to find any job. The only way to have a job is to create it by ourselves. And if the European budget is having a lot of money on research, it could be for us young people a way to get in.
But Junior, do you think people your age understand how to get access to the money?
We don't, and that's what we're asking this question.
May I ask a question to you? In which sector do you want to develop a project? Because of course it's not only the will, the innovation, the enthusiasm, but also the sector. In which sector do you want to begin?
I mean, I would like to begin in development project.
Okay, we'll go to our next participant. Jamshed, you also had a question about how the EU spends its money.
Hello. Oh yes, I'm just figuring out that you're just spending money all over the e-governmental stuff and all these major companies, but these structures are getting bigger and bigger, while our chambers, like the chambers of the architects or lawyers, tax advisors, these are all privately organized things, the chambers, they're getting smaller and smaller. So if you're just thinking about putting money somewhere, you should consider that, for example, in the health sector, I think it would be better if you spend some money into building networks of these chamber professions.
So Isabelle,
Yeah,
do you think?
I understand what you mean. Of course, it's easier. So I said to the former citizen, I think that the networking is a big added value on European level. And I understand what you mean. But I think that we cannot wait all of Europe. I think that on national level, it could be interesting to organize and to develop this network in the different chambers. So I'm not sure that the European Union have to build it, but European Union have to support the capacity to do it.
There's not a single rule, you know. For example, I've got a kind of graphics. We've got countries over here in Germany. We've got 16 countries. That's North Rhine-Westphalia, Baden-Württemberg, Hamburg, and Bavaria. 16 countries. These are democratically organized within the Bund. No? The Bund actually does what all these 16 countries decide. And now we've got a new office in Brussels. Every chamber has got an office in Brussels, like the architects have got an office over there, the lawyers have got. But how to implement this new built office into the old structure? That's kind of basic question that hasn't been solved since 20 years. Why don't we have got something like SAPLIS for the chamber professions?
So I appreciate your capacity to show how is difficult sometimes to organize on local, regional, national level and then on European level. So I have no concrete answer how could you really organize it, but I think that the link between the local and national organization and the European, it could be better, of course.
And what about the help that, I mean, obviously unemployment is a big problem. But do you think there's a case that because the problems of unemployment are so high that sometimes we overlook the people who have studied, have qualifications, professionals, in order to get the people maybe who don't have those kind of qualifications in work faster?
Yes, but of course the youth, especially youth, unemployment is the biggest problem in Europe. Sometimes it's 60% of the young people without perspective of job. We organize in the budget the Guarantee Jeunesse.
How does the EU really decide where to put its money?
How we decide? You have to know that the youth guarantee, it was decided at the end of the budget as a compensation for some people, some MEPs, some countries who thinking that it was not enough. So it's not a real will of the European Union.
So if you say that youth unemployment is one of the biggest problems, and is there a case that we're throwing good money after bad by giving 7 or 8 billion to SMEs?
Yes, but it's not only SMEs. Of course, SMEs are one place for, especially for young people to begin, to create an SME or to find a job. But I think that we have to do both. Money for the young people, training, qualification and capacity to begin in the market, and the support to the SMEs.
Mr. Bellotti, how about we bring you in here? I mean, you're from the Chamber of Commerce in Veneto in Italy. I mean, in your opinion, if we're talking about SMEs, getting young people or business people to get business minded and to innovate, I mean, what ideas would you say make a good startup company?
Yeah, I would like to point out two things that I think very important. I'm representing Chamber of Commerce system and the European Enterprise Network. It's true, and we have a long experience for many, many years about assisting companies. What I think is that the system today of the European Commission is we have a lot of offer of financing in the different fields that you were explaining, that you are speaking about, but we have a problem of organizing the demand. That means that especially for small, medium-sized companies, we need to have some institution which can help the small micro companies to be part, to get some of this financing. The Commission cannot hope that state, that governments, that local entities organize themselves to help companies. And why? Because these financing are coming from European Commission. And for this reason, it is not a big cost. It concerns about 30% of the total amount of budget. If this amount could be destinated, given to this local organization, to these networks that can work together, so we could have a solution, a very important solution, and get the result.
I fully agree with him. I think that, of course, the problem is the capacity for the micro SMEs to be part of this process. And I think that, of course,
but is this something that has been fixed under Horizons 2020? I mean, isn't it? I mean, if you're saying this is a problem, shouldn't it have been fixed
absolutely
with this package?
So it's not enough. So what could we do? We have to support, and also on national level, we have to support the capacity to organize those very small enterprises. And it means that, for example, the cohesion funds could be used also in to organize this networking, this capacity building for those little SMEs.
A big problem with startups is that once they start up, but then they also fail very quickly. So, I mean, what sort of measures are in place or could be in place to not only help young people to get these businesses going, but to ensure that these businesses continue,
of course.
And that they also continue to get funding, not just the initial grant system, but then the funding will continue throughout.
It's on a sustainable way. It means that they have to be able to grow and to become bigger and to expand the activity of those SMEs. Of course, it's a follow-up not only the first year, the second year, but a follow-up on a sustainable way.
And Mr. Belati, I mean, you're from the Chamber of Commerce. Do you think your Chamber of Commerce can help these young people? It can give them the right advice.
I want to outline that we, as Chamber of Commerce, we can help, we can assist, but we have to work with not only Horizon, but all the kind of funds of the European Commission. We have to have a coordination in the activities of information about these many funds that we have at disposal.
Mr. Belati, I just want to bring in Mr. Kogler from the Chamber of Commerce in Austria in here, because he also had a question about SMEs. Can you go forward with your question, Mr. Kogler?
I would like to add on what Mr. Blasi has said, because we are also a Chamber of Commerce, a national Chamber of Commerce. We are trying to translate the European programs and the European calls into a language that a local SME can understand. We try to inform them. We try to motivate them to take part. We help them in drafting proposals. We help them when they have questions about the very difficult financial regulations and the whole documents they have to provide. And we also have an alert service for European programs. We have a role in bridging the gap between Brussels and SMEs on the ground.
I have to give some explanation. Why is it so difficult to have access to the language, the European language regarding SMEs?
It's because considering that 99% of businesses are actually SMEs in Europe, shouldn't there be better access for them?
Why is it that, I want to explain why is the access so difficult. It's difficult because the administrative charge is very huge. Why? Because in the past it was some misuse with the public money regarding this program. So the European citizens are always requesting a real transparency, etc. So the report.
It's a fault to the citizens, is it?
No, I mean that of course the administrative charge, all the reports and the papers, etc., etc. Why is it so difficult? Because the control has to be very strict. Why? Because in the past some misuse problem.
And the controls under this new program do seem to be a lot stricter.
So
there's a sort of a
it means that of course on administrative level it's a little bit too much for and especially for SMEs. So the chambers are there to help. But I wanted to explain why is it so difficult and complicated. It's not because the Commission or the European Parliament are totally crazy. It's because they have to control the using of the public money.
And Mr. Kogler, Mr. Belati, is that good for you?
Yeah, for us very good, of course. But we can understand that to avoid any distortion in the use of public funds, you need at any level and any way you need to have some formalities, because this is a guarantee of transparency. But we are at disposal as Chamber of Commerce, a European Enterprise Network, to help companies to solve all these kind of problems or formalities. We are there for doing this.
I want to add something. I suppose that you know that we will decide on European level on the public procurement. And the public procurement is also a big capacity for SMEs to have access to some markets. So it's a big decision which will be taken in the next months. And it's very important because we will change the rules in order to give more capacity and possibility to the SME.
But do you think Horizons 2020 is going to be the project that can really make Europe innovative, you can put us back on the world stage or not?
I think the 2020 program supports real program from research to market. It means from the idea and at the end to the product and the capacity to have a real diffusion of the project. So of course the whole process could be supported by this program.
And what about the rest of you guys? I mean, what do you guys generally think about Horizons 2020?
For me, it's a very complicated program. It's very difficult for young people to understand what is needed for them. It's very beautiful with a lot of money, but how to access that money?
I understand, of course, it's not a direct relationship between the young people and the European Union. That's impossible. Mm-hmm. It's not like that. So it means that the idea of young people on the ground have to be confronted in different steps with the chambers, with the academic, local academic, etc., in order to build a real project, to have a transnational project, because on European level we don't support local or individual initiative, and in order to build the project who can be a real interlocutor for the European Union or the European Commission. So it's difficult to explain how could you be the interlocutor from the European institution, but you have to build the different steps in order to be able to have access to this.
Let me just throw it back to all of the participants. Does anyone have a question now for Mr. Durant? Yeah? Go ahead.
My question is, on the one hand, I just really like the idea of putting down all these bureaucracy. On the other hand, we've got a social court here in Germany that's just kind of court for all the social things, and you just invented a social fund in Europe, but there's no kind of European social court. So I'm just asking myself if the Commission is going to decide how to spend the money. That's it's a bit tricky because we've got a social court and the European haven't got a social court.
No.
So you were talking there about the social
aspect. I think that the social aspect is very important and not enough represented in our programs. Of course, for example, I take the fiscal compact, the golden rule for the budget in the national budget. Of course, we have to change that. But why do we have not a golden rule for social? For poverty, for environmental question. So I think the balance between what we do on budgetary level, what we do on economic level, what we try to do on economic level, and what the European Union do as a real social power, it's not enough. And at the balance between the economic and the social affairs, it's absolutely not balanced, of course, because we have to do more in order to support a real social approach of European Union. And it's also important if we want to have a real development of SMEs. It's not only in the framework of the economic, but also with a social peace and social possibility to development for all the people, also the young people, the old people, the people with the disabled, etc. We have to keep all our citizens with us, and it's not the case today.
Well, Mr. Durant, and to all of our participants, we're going to have to leave it there because unfortunately we have run out of time. But you can watch the Hangout rerun on EuroparlTV's website. You just have to go to EuroparlTV.europa.eu. Thanks, of course, to all of our participants and MEP Isabelle Durant, from myself, Miriam Zaidi, and the rest of the team at the Parliament. Thanks for watching and see you next year.